Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. I was only going to do 3 parts. I was trying to get them in here, but I have a few articles left and I figured I'd just include them here. This is an article that I saw, and you'll see a lot of these in Yahoo and on the internet and even in regular newsprint, and especially in magazines. I mean, all of those women magazines that you see in the checkout lines near in the racks there are just hardcore programming, and that's where we left off. We were talking about actual living Barbie dolls. Well, the thing is when you're in a socially engineered society, you feel lost, and you need somebody to tell you what your role is, where you need to be, how you need to think. And so you'll have articles like this. Don't bother earning these 5 degrees. If you want to earn a college degree that will impress employers, you might want to avoid these 5 majors. So I kind of just assumed that maybe my degree would be in there, which was journalism. It says, do you want to go back to school to earn a degree that could help you impress employers? If your goals include job offers upon graduation, you want to choose your major carefully, says this senior vice president at Universum, a global talent recruiting company that works with many Fortune 500 companies. So the first one they had up here was architecture. There was actually a time where architecture was pretty important, and you know, in houses or whatever, and in cities, building things, you know. And since there's not really any culture left, there's not really any of that going on. But there's many reasons why. It's usually in this global economy, as they call it, you have all these people overseas that can take your jobs and do it for cheaper. So, but it basically goes on there and replaces it with what? Ooh, business administration. So for some reason, they replace architecture with business administration. That's actually, when I went to college, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. They actually recommended this. I wanted to go into copyright, advertising, and then I didn't want to because I realized what it was. So they said, oh, go with a generic one, business administration. So if I would have went with that, hey, I would have been all good, right? So let's see some other things. Philosophy or religious studies. So the study of ethics and morals and you know, the major religions. You know, let's see what they replace it with. Oh, a degree to earn instead, elementary education. So programming, brainwashing, re-education. Nothing says the meaning of life like the next generation of slaves, right? Where you won't have any autonomy over the curriculum, and you'll basically be teaching programs that are being issued down to you by UNICEF and the globalists. Then unwanted degree number 3 is anthropology or archaeology. So these are all things that, for me personally, I find fascinating. You know, the study of society, right? And archaeology, you know, bones and stuff like that. You know, where are our ancestors? What made this and stuff like that. But it goes on and says, what? Interesting? Yes. Important? Definitely. But marketable? Not so much. So everything is about marketing yourself. That's what it says in here. It says here, it's like philosophy or religion. Says it's not super exciting to employers. These degrees are not at all marketable. They say the same thing about architecture, I believe. So what do they want to replace this study of society and history? Well, go to criminal and justice, so you can be a pig and be a revenue collector for the state and for your enslavement system. So that's real nice, right? Area, ethnic, or civilization studies. Again, another topic that would be interesting to me. So it goes on here and it says that you want to replace it with, oh, psychology, see? So you, oh man, they would. Again, this is all about programming, this is all about social engineering, and this is about eugenics. So they want you to be a drug dealer, right? Basically issuing pharmaceutical drugs and telling people that they're all defective and you need this to fix that defective, a pill and some counseling. On that note of psychiatry or psychology, go west, young man, to the new normal dream job. California state workers are earning $822,000. And it goes on there and it says that become a California state worker, preferably one who deals with neurotic or crazy people, i.e. a psychiatrist, and you will rake in the money. Some other stunning observations from Bloomberg on the best job taxpayer money can buy is the best paid job psychiatrists. At this pace, they will have lots and lots of patients. You can go in there and check it out. Links will be posted. Psychiatrists were among the highest paid employees in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, New Jersey, with a total compensation of $270,000 to $327,000 for top earners. State revenue collectors, or police officers in Pennsylvania, collected checks as big as $190,000 for unused vacation and personal leave as they retired young enough to start second careers, while Virginia paid active officers as much as $109,000 in overtime alone. In California, where they're actually going bankrupt, the numbers are even larger, where state psychiatrist was paid $822,000, a highway revenue collector $484,000 in pay and pension. Then we have psychiatry going insane as every human emotion, now classified as a mental disorder in new psychiatric manual DSM-5. The industry of modern psychiatry has officially gone insane as virtually every emotion experienced by a human being, including sadness, grief, anxiety, frustration, impatience, excitement, don't forget about anti-authoritarianism and creativity, is now being classified as a mental disorder demanding chemical treatment. The new upcoming DSM-5, a psychiatry Bible, is expected to be released in a few months and has transformed itself from a medical reference manual to a testament to the insanity of the industry itself. So you can go in there and check it out. The biggest liar in America goes on here and says, who is Dr. Alan Francis? This article is from the February 2012. The medical cartel, one of a handful of evolving super cartels that strive for more power every day, is rife with fraud. It says in the psychiatric arena, for example, an open secret has been bleeding out into public consciousness for the past 10 years. It goes on here and it says, I know one of the people who has been exposing the secret, which is there are no definitive physical tests for any so-called mental disorder. Along with that, all so-called mental disorders are arbitrarily invented, named, labeled, described, and categorized by a committee of psychiatrists from menus of human behaviors. And it goes on and talks about how these findings are published in these DSMs. For years, even psychiatrists have been blowing the whistle on this hazy, crazy process of research. Of course, pharmaceutical companies who manufacture highly toxic drugs to treat every one of these fictional disorders are leading to the charge to invent more and more mental health categories so they can sell more drugs and make more money. But it says one of the psychiatric honchos has been put out in the front of inventing mental disorders, has gone public and blown the whistle on himself and colleagues. His name is Dr. Alan Francis, and made very interesting statements to Gary Greenberg, author of the Wired article Inside the Battle to Define Mental Illness from 2010. In '94, New York Times piece scientist at work Daniel Coleman called Francis perhaps the most powerful psychiatrist in America at the moment. So it says here, long after the DSM-4 had been put into print, Dr. Francis talked to Wired Greenberg and said the following, quote, "There is no definition of a mental disorder. It's bullshit. I mean, you just can't define it," end quote. Texas man accused of carving pentagram into son. A North Texas man carved a large pentagram into his 6-year-old son's back on Wednesday, telling a 9/11 dispatcher that he did it because, quote, "It's a holy day." Police plan to order a mental evaluation, but it says his mother said that her son does not have a history of mental illness, but has recently been under a lot of stress. Quote, "Brent is not a demon. He loves the boy." Pons said, "Something happened. Don't paint him as some crazy man. That's not him," end quote. His stepfather, on the other hand, told newspapers that Bartell was deep into the Old Testament and may have some convoluted, some biblical references about Passover, a week-long Jewish commemoration of the deliverance of the ancient Hebrews from slavery in Egypt that occurs in March or April. Quote, "If you know about the Old Testament, there's the Passover marks the doorframe that were done with sacrificial lambs, definitely not sacrificial children," he was quoted as saying. Ex-girlfriend of Oregon shopping mall shooter says the gunman appeared numb to friends a week before the deadly attack. The gunman who killed 2 innocent victims after opening fire at an Oregon shopping mall on Tuesday has appeared numb in the lead-up to the shocking attack that left 2 dead. "I would have never guessed him to do anything like this," she said. "Jake was never the violent type. He didn't go out of his way to hurt people or upset people. His main goal was to make you laugh, smile, make you feel comfortable." Again, this is programming. And there's all kinds of triggers to program. He could have saw a movie. It says on Tuesday afternoon, wearing a load-bearing vest and a white hockey mask, ran into Clackamas Town Center near Portland, allegedly opened fire with an AR-15. Again, this is the same type rifle that was supposedly used by the shooter in the Colorado shooter, which there was, of course, possibly a second shooter, right? And, of course, the AR-15 rifle supposedly jammed. So who knows if there was actually a second shooter here. But like many other false flags, you have what? Police mall workers trained earlier this year for the shooting 6 months before the lone gunman burst into the town center, the shopping mall. Tuesday says here that police and mall employees trained together for just such an emergency. But it always serves another purpose as well. The Colorado governor says time to talk guns. I remember looking after the Denver, Colorado shooting and came to find out that actually they had not, I don't like saying loose gun laws because I don't like any gun laws at all, but they actually weren't as anti-gun as you would think. But it says the time is right now, says the Colorado governor, for state lawmakers to consider gun control measures, offering his firmest stance since the aftermath of the last psychological operation that took place in the movie theater, the Batman of the Dark Knight Rising. Let's not forget you had Heath Ledger that, died right before it even came out. That was a nice little sacrifice there. And I thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like the dark hero kind of programming. And then let's not forget about The Crow with, was it Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, who also died on the set. And The Crow was kind of a dark hero type programming. And now it's funny because you had the new Superman movie coming out, and I think people would be sick of these damn comic movies. I never really got into comics, but I'm not saying that they're bad or they're not good. I'm sure there's a lot of symbolism and good information that you can get as far as conspiracies and stuff like that. But for whatever it's worth, the Man of Steel, right? That's what it's called, and it looks all kind of dark and gothic-y. And let's not forget that who's called the Man of Steel? Well, Stalin. And I'm just going on here, just talking about crazy stuff. But also you have what? You have the Star Trek, and what is it? Into the Darkness. So this is, of course, as we, our galaxy and that is going through the Dark Rift. And it wasn't just the Mayans that used that term; it's also used by scientists. Soldiers are used as lab rats. Not a big surprise from December 11th. They talk about experiments where they used soldiers in pursuit of chemical weapons that it could incapacitate but not kill with substances like LSD and particularly nasty sounding dissociative referred to as BZ. So we're talking about neuroscience and neurolinguistics, mind-controlled assassins and stuff like that. But I mean, who do you think that they practice the Hiroshima bombs and nuclear bombs, atom bombs, before they dropped them on Hiroshima and that? They did it with soldiers. You have this, expanding foam stops internal bleeding in soldiers. The foam can reduce blood loss, sixfold, and boost the rate of survival at 3 hours post-injury to 72%. It says that the DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, is the one that's been working with the medical group. A new type of foam that's injected into the body could save lives of countless of soldiers wounded on the battlefield. It includes internal hemorrhaging and internal abdominal injuries. So it's kind of like those real high-grade epoxies that you have to mix, like liquid metal and stuff. The first liquid phase is polyol phase, and the second is this isocyanate phase. When the two liquids are combined, the two different reactions take place. Second transforms the liquid into solid foam, which becomes a polyurethane polymer. And there's a video that you can go and check out. But this is all going to lead to eventually robots and cyborgs and stuff like that, where you have, they talk about using these prosthetic limbs and how they're helping out these soldiers. Well, a lot of what they're doing over there is they're training and experimenting with stuff. And now they have things where you can guide bullets with your mind and all sorts of crazy stuff. The new HUD lenses that can basically have a readout in front of you. So, they go over there and they get their legs blown off in the name of fighting terrorism and Muslim extremists, basically fighting for the Zionists and, like I said before, the Khazarians or the globalists, whatever. And they're experimented on as lab rats. They experimented on them with anthrax. And so now they can further the technology for these cyborgs and these robots to make them completely autonomous by practicing on these poor souls who think that they're fighting for their freedom. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.